call. Andrew Wilverton. Here. Mrs. Gear.
Here.
Mr. Sims. Here. Mrs. Nels.
Here.
And Mr. Hart.
Here.
All present.
Okay. All right.
Did we send out the minutes? Did y'all get the minutes?
Yeah, I believe so.
Everybody get the minutes? Okay.
Yes.
See them via email.
Yeah, they can. Have a motion to dispense the reading and approval of minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Gear, second by Councilor Hart. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, 5-0. Mr. Burdette. All right, we've got 01-02-20 request for updates on Green Springs revitalization. Mr. Berkeley Squires.
I noticed they're out working, so they're digging up. They're almost got to the valley up there. They're on that median up there so far. They've got the other section already dug out. We've Will and them have started backfilling on most of the median back further south and all. So they should continue on this week and way up through the holidays. So other than that, everything else is moving along.
Sounds good. We'll continue to carry this item over. 2011-21 request for consideration, the amendment to the indemnity agreement for work in the city right away at 201 East Linwood Avenue, Adam Thrower and President Wyatt.
So I'll speak to that because Mr. Thrower is here. He and I have met. He's communicated with Bram. I've communicated with Berkeley and Mr. Kendrick, and this is sort of where we are. But Berkeley and Bram have said that the trees that we are talking about are dead or are dying, and such that they are potentially dangerous. And so if that's the case, then we would handle them the same way we handle other trees in the right of way, and the city can go and take those down.
Mhm.
At that point, I believe, and tell me, speak out if I say this wrong. I think because there are stormwater issues over there that are being looked at as part of the master plan, he would rather wait to plant to make sure that nothing needs to be done right where he's going to plant, and then he would have to take up the trees. So if the city comes and takes those trees out, then he can wait to plant the trees, and he'll come back before us at that point and get approval, because technically the permit will expire. But he can come back and we can do what we've already done again, give him the permission to replant those, but without the concern about having to pull them back up because of the stormwater issues, and because something might have to be done in that area of the stormwater.
Gotcha.
So that would
Timing to remove these trees.
that we would just get him and Berkeley together to work on the timing of when it would be done.
So if we do remove them, do we have a deadline set for Mr. Thrower to, once we've done the potential improvements, that he's got to put the trees back in?
No, he would come back to us to get that permission again and we would do it at that point about working in the right of way.
Because he wants to wait and see if they're going to have to dig.
You don't want to plant them and then we come in and put in a storm drain at those trees.
And that's why they don't look like that.
Yeah, they don't look like that. They don't look like that now.
Yeah, that's an old picture. They don't look like that anymore.
They're worse than
There's no leaves.
They kind of look like that second one right there.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's more accurate.
We approved the study. What's the timing of them starting that?
They've started.
Yeah.
They've already.
And so just to confirm, I mean, because it's part of Mr. Thrower's concern and the neighbors, also just to recap for others who have come on board late. So this is the study that
This is citywide.
we approved at the budget hearings. This impacts the Griffin Brook watershed, if you will, and how, what improvements need to be made. So the study will look at recommendations not only for the current system, but what would improve stormwater management in that zone. So we could come back and actually have not only the potential for outlets to be put in or infrastructure in the surrounding area as far as capacity, but also look at things like low impact development practices that may actually do more than just adding trees. I mean, like we could look at things like bioswales and so forth. That could potentially, maybe not this area, but somewhere.
As well as things upstream that might affect this. So yes, it should come up with an overall plan as well as prioritization of how we go.
Because I know there's some urgency about getting this done, but I just wanted to reassure everyone that the city does take this very important. I mean, because we need to do some work, and if we put some money behind it, I just want to connect the one issue to the bigger picture as well. And
Well,
and I'm glad that y'all met and worked all this out. So thank
in reality, my understanding was this item is not exactly directly related to what you're discussing, although there was some speculation that that might help.
So it is related just in the sense of planting the trees and having to come in and redo it afterwards. Right.
Right. But I mean, yes, but I took it from your letter, Mr. Thrower, that basically stormwater was one of his major concerns. It is.
It was the repair.
Yes. So it is connected from that standpoint.
It's the context for which the
Right.
proposal was a way to continue adding to the.
I think you're both actually saying it right. This particular item is about an indemnification agreement, but the larger issue is connected to stormwater. Yes.
Correct. Thanks.
And just to highlight, this is not, this is not the only Mr. Thrower's and his fellow neighbors' issues with stormwater is not unique, specific to their area. There are several
We have
spots all over.
We have many of these areas,
Which is why
we're doing the big.
Which is why we're doing the study citywide, correct?
Yep.
Which the solution is just years away. And what I was doing was trying to find a way to
Mitigate some of
stop the damage in the short term by also.
Yeah.
State.
Can I ask another question while Mr. Thrower's here? Hi, I'm Melanie Gear. Hey, so I read your letter and I have a question about the water and does it come over this area where the trees are towards your property?
Yes, ma'am.
And would you, once the trees are gone, would you consider a berm, maybe a little bit of a berm there?
Yes, ma'am. That's immediately, as soon as the trees, that's immediately what we'll be doing. And so in doing that, what I was trying to do with the trees was to keep the character of the neighborhood, but do the berm. And so I provided in the Dropbox, and all y'all are welcome to look at, is a photograph of, or that I've done, that shows a berm, building a small berm to replace the height of the existing, the sandbags that I put in to retain the water. And so, yes, ma'am.
That might, and then we can see how that works. And, I haven't been down the street to compare that side with the other side of the trees, but, the trees are, they have other issues to consider. And if your main issue is the water, this might be a good place to start, see how that worked.
Yes, ma'am. It was something I was willing to do on my own
Okay,
to retain the strong water on the street.
yeah, okay, well, good. Look forward to seeing how that works, and thank you.
And just to reiterate that the real concern with this item the last couple times we've met was the indemnification agreement, which is standard that anybody that comes to us and asks for permission to work in the city right away essentially says that if the city needs to come back, the party that's doing the work is responsible for taking up whatever they may have put or planted or dropped in the city right away. And so Mr. Thrower's concern was that he was willing to pay to remove what's there currently and then plant something new, and then did not want to, as Alex pointed out, have to be financially responsible for then pulling it back up if we come back as a city and say we need to put an extra inlet in here or something. Right. So it sounds like for right now we're gonna drop this
I
item.
think you can drop this item, and then Mr. Thrower will bring, when he's ready with the trees, he'll bring it back to us and we'll grant this again.
Motion to drop.
Second.
Motion to drop by Counselor Sims, second by Counselor Nellens. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 0. Robert. Thank you. All right, 29/11/21, request for consideration for work in the city right away at 126 Barber Court, brought to us by Cale Smith. Just a quick reminder from last time we met, there was some question, concern about whether or not this was actually Homewood right of way or City of Birmingham right of way. So we kind of carried it over to try and distinguish and figure out what we can sort out with that, right?
Right, that's right. And so different maps show different things. The tax ID maps show that the jurisdiction line is in here. So it runs down here and then jumps across the road. Anyway, I've asked Schultz to provide, since their surveyors are out there working for Milo's team, I've asked them to tell us exactly where. And they've also contacted Birmingham. They have all of our information.
Sure.
What I've been able to provide them, and they're getting Birmingham to try.
So we're still pending on.
So we're still with it.
Okay, okay. So without objection, we'll plan to carry this item over then and or something probably in the new year. Back from Shoal regarding who has the legal authority to grant permission there. And that we stand adjourned.